Yo, what's good? It's Tony and I'm in the studio and I just want to give some quick notes before we kick this thing off. I was shooting on a Nikon F3 with some expired Kodak Max 800 alongside with digital. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna cover how I edited my digital photos with the Dehancer desktop application. So let's get into it. Yo, what's good, beautiful people? I am here in St. Pete. I gotta tell you, this is one of my favorite places to visit when I wanna go get some photos, particularly stills photos, because it has such a vibe, man. Like, you have some like really dope aesthetics here, and I love to capture it on film. But today we're gonna do a little bit of both. We're gonna do film and digital for a very special reason, which I'll get into later on in this video. So let's just get into it. I'm shooting some film, shooting some digital. We're shooting both on 50 millimeter, so you kind of get the same look out of the photos. So let's just get into that. All right, so this is the first spot. I really love it. It's a fire department. And as you can tell, it is definitely from back in the day. So we're gonna go ahead and get these shots in. One of the things that I come to appreciate the most since shooting on film and manual lenses overall is learning to appreciate closing down on my aperture to get more detail in my shots that I was so prone to shooting wide open when I was shooting my portraits. But ever since I started shooting like street photography and travel and a still life, I want to get more detail and more story in my frame without losing a bunch of that detail in the background. So I definitely appreciate, closing down. So on my digital and my film, you'll tend to see me close down to about 5.6 to 8, sometimes 11. Let's get this shot real quick. This is what I mean about St. Pete. It's like so artsy out here. You're gonna find some super interesting things. Like, what in the world is this? This looks like something from Star Wars. How's it going? So I'm walking down Central Ave, which is one of the more popular areas here in St. Pete. Lots of artsy, fartsy things going on over here, very vintage activities and things like that. So I think it's pretty cool. So I'm just posted up right now, getting some shade. It is extremely warm out. Overall, man, there's been some dope vibes out here. I met some pretty dope dudes who are here putting together a media team, and I'm just like, how crazy it is that when you're carrying a camera, the conversations that it can spark, the kind of people that you meet that align with you creatively, with goals and ambitions and the things they want to do with their lives. I think it's amazing, man, what we can do. Just this community of creatives, so never shy away from holding a camera when you're walking around. You never know who you're gonna meet. But we're gonna get back into this video, walk around, see what else we can find. We'll do our thing, man. Let's get it. Welcome back to the studio, and we're gonna go over how I edited the photos using the new Dehancer desktop application. So let's go. All right, here we are in the magical world of the Dehancer desktop. And as you can see, I already had some photos selected, but for this video, what we're gonna do is just kind of show you around and navigate through the desktop, because there are some differences here, and we're gonna show these. Basically, if you look over to the left, you have the files, and here you can do a rating of the images that you have, and that way you can essentially cull in a sense. And in the bottom you have the folders. So you have the all folders and you have your favorites. So in the folders, basically you have your shared drives. You have your main drives, you have your hard drives, memory cards, etc., etc. And basically that's where you can select your photos. And for the sake of this video, and just to kind of give a brush overview of what is so different between desktop Dehancer and the plugin. So here, as you can see, you can rate your images, right? So you have ratings, you have edit, copy edits, which we'll get into in a bit. Clear edits, you have your export, select all, invert selections, what have you, or move to trash. So for this video, basically, just to show you, you can select all the images after you've made your selections and you made your ratings, and you can add to a project. And if you don't already have a project, it'll have you select the project like to create a new one. And then you have the add 10 images to new projects. So if you want to start a different project with those images, you can start another project. So that's basically one of the big differences compared to the plugin. So what we're gonna do is, since I've already created a project, we just go over to the projects tab, and there you will find the images that I have already rated and selected and edited, which you have already seen in the video. So you can see that I have already made these edits, so you can see the film emulation that I use, which was predominantly Kodak Gold 200, and I used Fujicolor Pro 400H for one of the images, just because I wanted to see how Pro 400H looks on the Dehancer desktop, which, by the way, none of these look any different than the plugins. So you're getting essentially the very same things. Where it gets a little bit different is when you actually start to edit. So if we click on one of the images, you see the edit already loaded up. So to show you a before and after, here's the before, here's the after using Kodak Gold 200, which I thought really played well with these images, especially for the time of day that it was, because it was very bright and a lot of like direct sun with some deep hard shadows. So really enjoyed using Kodak Gold 200 for this video and for these images. So basically, if you look to the left, you have all these different film stocks, which are basically the same as the plugins, whereas some of the differences is basically you have the film emulation and a print profile as a preset. So it kind of takes your editing process to an extra step where you don't have to go through and pick a print profile. You can just basically just kind of skim through these ones and see which ones you like. And then once you've made your selection of the preset or the film emulation, you will go over to the right, which I will close all these down because we're only going to go over the notable differences here as far as what the editing looks like. So you have your raw settings where you can essentially make a pre-gain and preserve highlights, change your temperature and exposure. So from there you can manipulate the images however you want. And then you have your crop, which is very beneficial because I would have to use Lightroom or Photoshop and make my crops and then take the photo over to the plugin, or go straight to the plugin, do my edits, and then bring the photo back and then crop. So very beneficial. One step less that you have to do in another program, which we'll talk about the cropping feature in a few. So basically everything else is the same, literally the same as far as the editing process goes. Where it gets a little bit different is here on the top right hand corner where you have your close and apply. So basically, if you close, you cancel the edits and you return to the browser. Once you hit apply, you've applied your edits to the image. So just for the sake of this video, I hit apply. And from here is where it gets really cool with the desktop Dehancer. So you can copy your edits and then you can select all the images and hit paste. Boom. And that part of the editing process is done. You have essentially created a preset and you were able to paste it to all your images so you have a consistent look throughout your entire images. You don't have to go one by one, which was the issue that a lot of people had with the plugin. So they've definitely have made that correction. One of the things that I would say that I would like to see change is the cropping in the edit. Because if you're shooting on different photos essentially, and you want to shoot horizontal on one, you want to shoot vertical on another, or just the composition in general is just completely different, the crop follows the edit. So when you paste it, you also get that same crop. So one of the things that I would like to see is the crop being left out of the edit. And that's something that you have to do. You go back into the photo and you make your crop changes or any other minute changes just to have your images kind of like all look consistent across the board, because the lighting conditions can be different and things like that. So that can obviously affect the overall look that you're looking for your images. So that's one thing. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is digital noise in your images and when you're bringing them into the Dehancer desktop. So going into this one image that I took, as you can see, it's a lot of digital noise in this image. And the desktop version does not have a denoise, much like the plugin. So one of the things that I would like to see is a denoise type of AI situation that can fix the denoise, can fix the digital noise in the image essentially, and be able to not need another editing suite or platform to remove any digital noise. Just that alone is clutch to have. So definitely Dehancer, if you're watching, let's work something out where we get a denoise option of some sort in here, because I think that that would probably be a lifesaver of not having to get on Lightroom, Photoshop, Capture One, whatever it is that people are using to edit their images. But other than that, I think it's a great option aside from having the plugin, because with the desktop, you have that opportunity to do batch editing essentially and get all your images to look very cohesive, and you can build that look that you want for your photos and your portfolio if this is the type of thing that you want to use moving forward. So definitely a very powerful tool with some new features that I happily welcome to my workflow when I want to get images that have that film kind of feel to them. Obviously, like any other editing or any other presets, yeah, you might be able to get a certain look that kind of resembles film, but nothing beats, the overall experience of shooting on film and getting your scans back. But overall, powerful tool. I love it. I welcome it. I use it from time to time with certain images that I go out and I make or take, depending on what kind of shooter you are. For all you Leica boys making photos. So that wraps up this video. Thank you for taking the time to stroll with me through St. Pete. It is a very beautiful city. There's so much more to cover. So this is just the first iteration of my time in St. Pete. I hope you enjoyed the Dehancer desktop, and if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to use the promo code down below for that 20%. Save you a couple of dollars. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.